who would you describe is the guardian of the digital space?
Yeah. So Vikas, one way to look at this is at the enterprise level, we are looking at how do we make money, what are the risks to making these money, and then how do we address those risks. So the role of the CISO is really to identify the critical risk and then build security controls capabilities ranging across people, process, technology to protect the business revenue.
If you really go back in the kingdom days, Raja hota tha, Praja hoti thi, or Senapati hota tha.
Right.
Right? The kingdom mein, you had all this wealth and everything. Who was supposed to protect that wealth? That it doesn't get invaded, it doesn't get taken away. That was the role of a Senapati. CISO is the Senapati of the new digital world.
Right.
You need to be a business enabler. At the same time, you need to make sure you're not stifling the innovation. You're not hindering the productivity. At the same time, provide the security.
Right.
Sometimes you see this as it's slowing down.
Right.
But those things are necessary to secure we can say the digital world.
Give me some case study where people can relate better with a scenario of data breach over there.
So I think Vikas, think of this way for a second, right? When in the businesses were more brick and mortar shops,
Right.
they didn't rely so much on digital. They acquired each other,
Right.
but nothing at rest. Like as a CISO, you're not really protecting because most are transactions which are more physical in nature. That's not the case today. Most of the businesses that are running are digital businesses.
Right.
Or at least majority of the business they're really making is like Amazon. What is it? Is it a brick and mortar shop? No.
No.
It's mainly digital business, right? When it's acquiring another digital business, you're acquiring another channel into the mix. The way you want to look at it is when you're acquiring something is about number one, if you're adding a body part to your body, you want to make sure that doesn't have any disease that will propagate into other parts of the body.
Yeah.
The same way when I'm acquiring something, I want to make sure that everything has been proved for security. And different elements, not just we were talking about compliance and stuff, that's one element, but things like there are no major critical vulnerabilities. The other one is the connectivity, that's fine. It's not like there is a fitment, alignment to the business processes, to the technologies, because that could come and hinder certain parts of your businesses. In short, the role of a CISO, or Chief Information Security Officer, when it comes to the merger and acquisitions, is now super critical. It's as important as any business owner. Like, would it make money for me? You're thinking from that. Would operations sustain when I acquire this? The same thing with the digital security sustain when I acquire it. They have to look from all different lenses.
Right.
And also make sure integration in the two entities is the hardest part of it. More than anything else, there are disparate technologies and everything, and now you're trying to build the ecosystems. Are you not start putting band-aids, or are you going to have a seamless integration? The decisions sometimes you're going to have to make, let this go, we're going to expand on this technology that we've been using here. Have you thought from that angle?
Right.
So there's a whole 9 yards which you have to think through, which they have to cover, but it is a very responsible job when it comes to merger and acquisition, something that have to be critically thought through.
So Harish, now we understood the responsibilities of CISO. What are some of the regulations that the CISO has to follow, the obligations? What are the accountabilities involved now?
With every with every power, always comes the responsibility.
Correct.
With the CISO as well, in the similar, objective is to protect the data.
Right.
Protect personal information. You protect your citizen data. If you are in government, you protect your citizen data. If you are in healthcare, you protect your health data. So there has to be a transparency where we need to know, right? All these regulations and everything is meant for protection of citizen data or personal data, or you can say the business data. So there has to be a transparency, where you can say what's happening, what's happened, what's being breached, so these regulation is to make it aware to all other organizations or maybe to the government entities to just reveal what's happened with the breaches, right? If the breach happens, it also helps you can say other organization. You can learn, other organization learn from the breach that happened with a organization. and you can stop the future breaches.
Right. So you learn from others' experiences, other case
experiences.
studies.
And let me build on that because this is important, right? And I want to connect it with most of the people will understand. A lot of organizations have accountants, chief finance officers. What do you think their job is, like as an accountability? They have to report every quarter on how the business finance is happening, right? How good or healthy the book of business is.
Correct.
Why? Because there's stakeholders' money involved when they're publicly traded,
right?
Or investors' money involved when they're privately traded. No different for CISOs. We talked about how critical their job is, right? But they're also like protecting. So how well are they protecting? That's one of the main important responsibilities.
Right.
Am I really at par with my digital protection, or am I just doing just a job, right?
Arvind mentioned that you focus on the business part of it, right?
Exactly. You have to report to the board. You have to report to the executives. Sometimes there's a chief risk officer. You have to report your cyber risk into that as well. Then comes the accountability on the side of auditors, and you all just auditors who come in the financial audits.
Right.
There's risk audits like for cyber. Participating in the process and making sure the compliance which you talked about, but those things are also in line at par.
Right.
Third, and the most important, which I really feel personally, it is the most important job of any guardian of a digital world, is be responsible to the individuals, whether it's consumers in the general market, or as the citizens in the public market, or even responsible to the team. That's your highest responsibility, to make sure the things are protected in the way they should be, and you're constantly watching and are diligent about that. That's what really makes truly the honest, or I've said, responsible CISO.
It's time for us to take a short commercial break over here. On the other side of the break, viewers, as we come back, we'll first take a quick look at the CyberWatch news flash and resume our conversation on our topic. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. You're watching CyberWatch, and I'm Vikas Nangia. Harish, Lalit, and Arvind, once again, welcome back to CyberWatch. Before we resume back to our conversation on our topic, let's take a quick look at the CyberWatch news flash. General Motors Autonomous Vehicle Division, Cruise, is under investigation by the Department of Justice, DOJ, and Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, following an October 2023 incident involving a jaywalking pedestrian. The pedestrian was struck by a Cruise autonomous vehicle, dragged for 20 feet, and suffered exacerbated injuries. Cruise recently released findings admitting it failed to live up to the justifiable expectations of regulators and is fully cooperating with investigators. A third-party report alleges that Cruise withheld crucial details during a briefing with officials, specifically the fact that the vehicle dragged the victim for 20 feet after the initial collision. The report criticizes Cruise's leadership, citing poor judgment, lack of coordination, and a fundamental misunderstanding of obligations to accountability and transparency. Former Cruise CEO Kyle Vogt resigned, revealing the company's struggles with recognizing children and frequent need for human intervention. GM, the owner of Cruise, expressed support for Cruise's mission despite the challenges. Cruise's California operating license remains suspended, and it faces not only federal investigations but also a lawsuit from San Francisco over the incident. All right, that was a great piece of news flash powered by DigitalXForce and iTrustXForce. Gentlemen, once again, welcome back. How does CISOs ensure investors' investment in the company?
Right. So because there are different stakeholders, including the investors in the company, so in our role, we really have to start with the board of directors. What are their interests? What is the current state of our program? And how are we keeping up for the future protections for the company? Then we also work within the company, not just the business side of it, but we also work with the different corporate functions.
Right.
As Lalit mentioned, chief risk officer. What are the risks to the businesses? Lalit mentioned about the CFOs, the accountability that's coming up with that. And the other crucial piece is legal, the general counsel. That's where not only we have to focus on the regulatory compliance based on the industry, whether it is HIPAA compliance or PCI compliance, or in the manufacturing area, making sure we are complying with the laws, but the new investors' interest is popping up where we are talking about, hey, we have invested so much money. If it is a publicly traded company, then thousands of people have invested their trust with us.
Right.
And cyber has become one of the crucial components that can have a material impact to the ongoing business. Some of the examples I would share is JP Morgan. There was a breach, and all of a sudden Jamie Dimon himself came out and said, hey, we're going to spend $500 million onto the cyber program.
Right.
The Equifax breach, $1 billion just to transform the entire security program. We had Target breach that happened.
Right.
Tens and hundreds of millions dollars that was spent. And that money, has a material impact on the investors, whether it is publicly traded company or even the private investors. And those investors need accountability for those. So on the public side, the government is recognizing those material impact to a business. And just recently, SSE came out with a law that, hey, anytime you have a cyber incident that has a material impact on the revenue, you have to report it. Right? And there are a number of days, and you have to engage with the 3-letter agencies and run through them the scenarios that are impacting the revenue or the business pieces.
Right.
So there's a huge accountability that's coming out with the responsibility that we have, as Harish was mentioning earlier.
When these companies have these data breaches and, they spend so much of money on R&D and, ensuring and winning the trust and the confidence of the consumers, are there any insurance plans that backs these companies up, Lalit?
There are plenty. The challenge is neither the cyber insurance companies are well versed like in what they're offering.
Right.
Neither is the party that really trying to understand what I'm really trying to get into.
Right.
And I can understand it's a complex domain.
Right.
It's not like, what's the car insurance policy? Let's inspect the car or an engine, this. We know the main parts, which can go bad.
Right.
Or where the accident will happen, what's the value of the car. We know is manageable.
Right.
House insurance policy, we've seen, we dealt with it. Life insurance policy. Cyber is an evolving area. It's not static, unlike others.
Correct.
So there's no real definition. So in short, yes, there are a lot of cyber insurance providers. And to be honest, a lot of small, medium business and larger corporations actually do buy those cyber insurance plans so they're ready for any big losses that really happen.
Right.
The challenge we really see running into is a lot of the cyber insurance companies keep running in losses. Why? Because they've been writing policies and giving, and there's really not a method to the madness other than just general metrics they've been given. That is really posing a different challenge with increasing premiums, and what's really not happening, small and medium businesses either are not even getting insurance policies or they have to pay high premiums for the same thing. So there are different connotations. Yes, options are available, but things are really moving really fast and it's getting more and more complex.
Harish, walk us through a bit of your journey, your existence in the cyber or the digital space. Talk about that and give a word of advice to our viewers, especially the students and young professionals who are aiming to become CISO at some point of their career. What should be their career path? What should be their options? Guide us through. So personal journey and how to become a CISO. The same question to you, Lalit, and same question to Arvind, to you as well. We'll start with Harish.
Thanks, Vikas. So for me, it started as you start with any other software engineer. You start the journey, and I got fascinated towards the security, information security, and fortunate enough to get those opportunities to work upon it. As I moved towards ladder, I was able to get the security opportunities, and I was focusing on those opportunities. I was investing on those opportunities. You always learn certain thing.
Right.
You do certification. there are a lot many forums available where you can participate, contribute, you learn from the community. So I built upon that and work with the many Fortune 100 companies. You learn from those experiences.
Right.
And then started my entrepreneurship journey. And once you start those journeys, and I was working with a lot of federal government as well as the government agencies.
Right.
And where you always look at the government agencies that have the limited resources, limited budget. So you work more of an, as an advisor capacity. You share the knowledge, you work towards that, and that's how I built, you can say, my personal journey. For students now, there are so many opportunities available, a lot of internship available.
Right.
They can keep on looking at the LinkedIn. There are a lot many internship opportunities available. It's a great field to be in. We can serve the community much better. And there are certification, industry standard certification. They can definitely do it. There are what we call the CISO certification. Those are very good start to start those certification towards your cybersecurity journey. And there are a lot many, you can say the society, there are very security related society available where a lot of mentors are available who is ready to guide you. Of course, you will have to invest the time and put an effort.
Yeah, Lalit?
I'm pretty sure like Harish will watch it and Arvind, our journey started when cybersecurity was not even a name in the market. Nobody knew what the domain really was. Unlike today when everybody knows and talks about cybersecurity, nobody cared about cybersecurity at the time. And still really became what the profession of today, when everything is so tuned to that, right?
Right.
The journey started more like, you were a technologist, you loved programming, you loved computer science, and that really evolved into what we call as application of that.
Right.
And that application became in the area of which considered a cybersecurity domain, like authentication, single sign-on, the identity and access management. And then things started building. The real change happened when you started looking at industries at large. You started understanding business and why they need security. That was kind of like an eye-opener in a big way, that made me think, am I really just building a technology stack and deploying and getting my paycheck, or am I really truly helping someone to really become secure?
Yeah.
Started with healthcare to the financial services, then public sector, then started building knowledge around that. That made you start thinking, unlike driving, I know how to drive, I know how to do security, but am I driving in India or am I driving in the US?
Right.
Started applying that. That became your forte and stuff. So I was lucky to spend over 2 decades in some of the largest global firms like PwC, Deloitte, Accenture, some of the big names.
Right.
Manage those things, and that gave you interface with such much talented people, such as here, that built further on the knowledge. Where now I sit, of course, is the entrepreneurial journey with DigitalXForce and iTrustXForce, which we're very proud of, is a mission in hand. My message to the young, professionals who we want to get into, my personal read is that cybersecurity, much like when you say sports or being an artist, you can only be as successful if you really want to be successful and you have a passion for that.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you have to do.
Right.
Cybersecurity is actually more than just that. It's a passion, but also something you do for a mission.
Right.
So there's 2 things you need to map.
Right.
And if you really want to be successful, that's the service you have to provide. So if you really want to get a cybersecurity, number 1, you're really very enthusiastic about it, you're passionate. Also treat this as a mission, not just like another job which will make me money.
Right.
Because otherwise you're going to do the disservice to the digital world. So if you have those attributes, as Harish was outlining, opportunities are plenty. There are a lot of certifications, there are a lot of institutes that are offering free programs, government sponsored because they understand how much is going on.
Right.
Ample opportunities. The universities, there is cybersecurity domain, specialty everywhere, in engineering now.
Right.
There are colleges that actually specialize in that. And on top of that, many, if you really stand out, many businesses, such as even our own businesses, we give opportunities to young professionals. Come and build those prototypes, use cases, build your career with us. But understand, get grounded with really truly you're passionate about it and you really want to drive a mission. Everything else will fall in place for you. That's my message to the young professionals.
That's fantastic advice, Arvind.
Yeah, I think Harish and Lalit has covered it all. So yes, the certification part, mission is crucial.
Well, they've covered their journeys. You've got to talk about your part of it.
So I think my learning in this entire journey is to unlock your own mind first. Just because it's cybersecurity, just because it's coding or technology, it doesn't mean you need to know these things.
Right.
Right. So I have 2 daughters, and if I talk to them, sometime I hear that, oh, it's computer science, oh, it's coding. It's like, do I really want to do it? But in reality, it's very far from that. Maybe 20% of us needs to be ethical hacker and deep technology guy, but 80% of the program is non-technical. You need critical thinkers. You need people who can collaborate. You need people who understands business.
Right.
You need people who bring things together. You need people who think about the risk pieces of it. There's just so much in cybersecurity that's beyond coding, beyond technology. So that's the first thing, the message I would give to the youngsters, that, hey, cybersecurity is not just technology. It's just a piece of it. Anybody can do cybersecurity. You're doing it in your day-to-day job at home anyway, right? You have online accounts, passwords, social medias, you follow certainly. That's cybersecurity. So the second part, I would say, is unlock your mindset. You can go through certain paths to become a cyber leader or cyber professional, but what stops you is our own thinking of, hey, I can do it. Oh, yes, you can. I think that's the biggest message I would like to give. It's more about your own thought process, and then incorporating the mission that came from Lalit, and then following the path that Harish outlined from networking, certifications, and other pieces.
So this is a term called ABCD, right? Anybody can dance. We call ABCDC. Anybody can do cyber.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise and giving the advice to our viewers, especially the students and young professionals and parents as well to a large extent, where they are confused or they do not have suggestions for their students, what career path, what options they should be exploring. So I guess the idea at CyberWatch is also to give them insight and as much as knowledge we could provide them. Thank you so very much. So viewers, that brings us to the end of our today's episode of CyberWatch. If you have any questions, queries, concerns, I would encourage you to send your video questions right into us at cyberwatch@tvasiausa.com. Again, that's cyberwatch@tvasiausa.com. And to get more information on cybersecurity, of course, you can log on to the websites of DigitalXForce and iTrustXForce. Lalit, you'd like to give some information of your social media handles as well?
No, I think you summarized really well. We'd like to publish everything through our social media channels, our websites, the DigitalXForce.com and iTrustXForce.com. We have on the LinkedIn and other social media platforms as well. Feel free to reach out. And if we cannot get the answer, we'll get you the answer from somewhere.
We'll get the answers out from you for sure. Viewers, until next time, this is Vikas Nangia signing off. Thank you so much for joining us.